It's good that you brought up ending beefs.
Yes.
Do you think that you and Joe Budden could ever end y'all beef?
It's one-sided.
It's one-sided.
I have no beef with Joe.
You have no beef with Joe?
Zero.
So he has beef with you?
Yes.
Over what?
I think it was over the Ransom situation, originally.
What happened in that situation? Because we had, let me say this, we had Ransom on the show.
Yeah.
We had Paul Kane, shout out to the bros.
Yeah.
Peace. But you were implicated as the guy that was holding the camera.
Right.
When someone was assaulted on their doorstep.
Yeah. So I'm going to address the whole thing, and you and I had a conversation about this that I'm going to reference in my explanation. So me and Joe had done one interview when I first launched Vladtv. Came out, cool, it was done. We didn't really have any contact after that. Joe was kind of gaining traction on YouTube at the time.
Ustream.
Yeah, well, YouTube and Ustream.
Yeah, right.
He was doing the Ustream thing live, but then on YouTube he was putting out the clips.
With Tahiri and
with
stuff.
Tahiri, so they're like the first little kind of YouTube hip hop couple.
Right.
And he was getting, he was one of the first dudes to really do it like that. So as I was doing Vladtv, he was putting himself out there.
Right.
And we were both gaining traction. I wasn't familiar with who Ransom was at the time, but then as I'm watching Joe in his YouTube channel, he does an interview. Well, he's like, it's a conversation with somebody, and he starts just dissing Ransom.
Right.
He's like, oh, like, yeah, someone compared Ransom, oh, Ransom's like a Honda Civic, and I'm like a Lamborghini, you know what I mean? And it was like basically just downplaying everything about Ransom, whatever else.
Right.
So we were like, see who this Ransom guy is. You know what I'm saying? He's obviously important enough for Joe to mention him. Let's see what he's about.
Right.
Hey, Ransom, do you want to do an interview? Ransom's like, cool. I'm like, all right. So I sent my guy Russ, who worked for me, to go interview him.
You didn't go yourself?
I didn't go myself.
Okay.
I've always had employees. So Russ goes and interviews Ransom. Ransom addresses Joe dissing him, and in the process, he mentioned Tahiri, and he mentioned how Tahiri used to mess with Fabulous, which is actually true.
Right.
But I guess it hadn't been out there at that point.
This is brand new information.
This is brand new information to whatever, the hip hop world.
Hey Joe, your girl used to mess with Fabulous.
Right.
You ain't the first one with bars to, and he feels a way about that.
He felt some type of way about the interview.
Okay.
Right? I'll wait until you sit back down with your liquor.
No. Continue.
Continue? Okay.
I do this all
the
right,
time. Got it.
Right.
So, for all intents and purposes, it should have just gone, whatever. Ransom said some shit on the video. Joe should have went on video and responded if that's what he felt like doing. There could have been a diss song, whatever else. It is what it is.
It stayed there.
It could have stayed on wax.
Right.
Joe Budden took it upon himself to get some people together, go to Ransom's block, and I guess jump him.
Wow. When you say you guess.
Because immediately after that happened, Joe makes a video bragging about what he just did and threatening to put the video out. I guess he even recorded himself doing it.
Wow.
And he threatened, and he said, Ransom, if you say anything, I'm going to put that video out and embarrass you even further.
Wow. Okay.
Joe escalated the situation way beyond where it should have gone. Joe took it upon himself to do that. No one poked him, no one forced him, whatever else. Now, at that point, things are going viral. Oh, Ransom's over. Ransom got ethered. Ransom this. Everyone's like, now siding with Joe and, making Ransom look like he's soft, whatever, like he got punked, whatever.
Right.
And we're covering the story. So then Ransom contacts Russ, the guy who filmed him originally, and was like, yo, I got a video I want y'all to put out. Okay?
Wait. Say that again.
Ransom contacted Russ, who works for me, and said, I have a video that I filmed on my own that I want y'all to put out on Vladtv.
So you were not holding the camera?
I had not even met Ransom at that point. We may have talked on the phone, but we had never met face to face at that point at all.
Oh, Vlad, why you come here with this information, man?
Right.
Oh.
What happened, man?
The video was...
I got a record with Ransom. It's so fire. This ain't gonna help, bro. Like,
okay.
So what happened?
The video was the slapping of the porch. Like Joe,
right.
they rolled up. They rolled up on Joe Budden's friend because they couldn't find him, so they rolled up on his friend, and they had this long. You got to understand, we even edited this video because the conversation on the porch was like, they were talking forever. Like, you know, I mean, we kind of sort of just cut to the chase because I think you would have probably slit your wrist if you watched the whole thing. But like, they were talking to this dude on the porch forever.
Right.
And you're watching this going like, why is this dude even entertaining these guys on his porch with a camera in his face?
Right.
Like, you would think you would just go in the house or not even open the door in the first place. But the dude, for whatever reason, had the conversation at the end of the video.
Because it was a camera.
Yeah. At the end of the video, one of Ransom's dudes smacked him.
Yeah.
And that was...
Go find him, homie.
Yeah, whatever.
Go find him. I remember when you and Joe did the Shade 45 interview, he spoke about that. And he felt like the camera, you should have never introduced that. And I remember he always asked that stacked bundles question, would you have brought it to the funeral? And you said yes, you would have.
Right. How many famous funerals don't have cameras there?
I mean, none.
It's a ridiculous statement from Joe.
But they felt different about Stack Bundles funeral because they didn't think...
I didn't know Stack Bundles, so I couldn't really relate to his particular relationship with Stack. But if you look at Biggie's funeral, you look at Tupac's, not Tupac's funeral, but you look at, Nipsey Hussle's funeral, you look at, any funeral, there's always cameras there, there's always people doing interviews, there's, people want to capture the moment because it's an important moment.
Right, it's history.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I think he said, like, oh, would you, if so-and-so got killed, would you film it? I'm like, possibly. I don't know.
I think it goes to what Meg said, where hip-hop have certain rules. He felt like there are times you should have just not let the camera rock out from the slap to the, you know what I mean?
Well, look,
I guess maybe he was in his feelings, who knows?
Ransom hit me up and said, I want you to put this out.
Understood.
I want you to put this out. I am handing it to you. You were not involved in the filming of it. Me and my homies got together and we filmed it. The cameraman is Spanish. You could hear the dude actually saying things from behind the camera. You know what I'm saying? And, the video came out and, I believe afterwards, Ransom ended up getting arrested. I guess there was a gun incident that happened at there. Apparently somebody had cooperated. I'd heard. Someone cooperated.
Who do you believe cooperated?
I'm not going to put that out there. I know me and Ransom had a conversation about that off camera, and he told me. But if you don't want to put that out there, that's really on him. It's not my case.
So why were you implicated?
We were not implicated. We were never implicated. We put out the tape, and that's that. Police had never contacted us. There was nothing to contact us about. We put out the tape. We weren't involved in any of it, whatever else. Ransom goes to prison. He gets out. We do an interview once he gets out. That's when me and him meet for the first time. And when we do the interview, I have a camera. Once again, I'm not holding the camera or whatever else. So Ransom does the interview on your platform and said that Vlad is holding the camera and everything else like that. So I DM Ransom and I'm like, yo, I just want to talk to you about this. He's like, cool. I'm like, here's my number. He doesn't call me. A month or so passes and I'm like, all right, look, I'm just going to DM you the whole thing. I never held any camera. He's like, oh, what are you talking about? You too rich now. You probably just forgot. And I'm like, here's this interview done by Russ, who worked for me. Here's this interview. The slapping incident. We weren't there. We weren't there. Right. You know what I'm saying? You gave us the footage. Here's this interview once you got out of prison. I'm actually in the same room with you for the first time ever, and there's a cameraman. And he was like, oh, okay, yeah, my bad. And I showed you the DMs.
Yeah.
And I verified, and I remember I clicked on Ransom's name, and I'm like, look, these are the actual DMs of Ransom agreeing with me that I never held the camera, that got nothing to do with this.
So here's my question. Do you feel
You
like,
saw the DMs, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, thank you.
Do you feel like people use you as a fall guy?
All the time.
To not take accountability
All
for
the
their
time.
own actions?
All the time. But that's okay.
Why do you think that is, though?
Because he's white.
I wanted to say it. I wanted to say it. Nobody knew this. That's a fact.
No,
I
that's
agree.
not
If he was black, they wouldn't play that
That's
bullshit.
not
With his
true.
white.
I don't know.
Yo,
I'm
I
not saying that. That's you saying that.
I
I'm
know
not
that,
saying that.
but
I just feel that it's human nature in general.
Yo,
to
Heineken,
blame.
that's not true.
It's true.
The
Yeah,
media
it's true.
gets got all the time. Everybody says they misquoted me, they took me out of context.
Listen,
That's not a black and white thing, that's a media thing. I've had that shit happen to me.
Right.
Yo, you took me out of context. Dog, I repeated your shit back to you. You said that. I didn't
But
say that.
his shit is so hyper sensitive
Because
it's so hyper focused on it.
I'm not. Okay, hold on. I'm not telling you.
tuned.
I'm not telling you that he's not getting extra flack because he's a Caucasian male. I'm not telling you that because it's true. Same reason why Eminem catches what he catches, good and bad.
All the time.
Because he's a Caucasian man in black culture. As a Caucasian man in black culture, yes, there's a spotlight on him because we have long had a stigma, we have long had a history of Caucasian people making money from our misery, or from our joy, or just money off of us, period. So yes, he's going to fall into that. But to say that he's a scapegoat, period, and he's the only one, I take exception to
I'm
that.
not saying he's the only one.
the
No, I
only
never
one.
said that.
It's not happening.
But we're
It's-
saying,
I'm not
we're saying
saying
that. We're saying that.
But his
people
numbers
do
is
this.
way more astronomical
People
than
do
others.
this.
I don't think he gets.
They pick and choose, bro.
We all do
they pick and
media
choose.
here.
Let me just
They
say
pick and
this.
choose.
Let me
They
just
pick
say
and choose,
this.
Matt. I agree.
Hold on. Let me just say this. Like, for everyone here that's been locked up, you know, I did little couple days here and there, so I've never done any real things. But when you look at everyone who's locked up, how many people in there are innocent and it's not their fault, and they got done dirty?
A lot.
As opposed to, hey, I really did, you know what I mean? Especially people who just got there.
Right.
Not the people that have been there 20, 30 years, but the people who just got there. How many people feel like they're victims? It's a natural human trait that when something goes wrong, the first thing you do is blame everyone else.
Right.
It takes a certain level of maturity to say, this is my fault. You know what I mean? Like when I interviewed Project Pat, when at the height of his career, he got pulled over with a bunch of guns and ends up doing a bunch of Fed time. And when he got in, he was like, I was pulled over, I was racially profiled or whatever else. And then he was like, but then at one point I said, my dumb ass was the one rolling around with illegal guns when I was a rapper and had a real career and had hit songs, and there was no reason for me to even be in that fucking area.
Right.
But my dumb ass had these guns, and I had to just sit there and accept the fact
It
that,
comes with maturity.
that I put myself in this place. And the thing is that it takes a certain level of maturity of someone to say that, and to say, like, you know what I mean? And I think, like, for example, like a Joe doesn't have that maturity, even at his age. He's not going to say, well, I'm the one that really decided to roll up on Ransom and whatever else and do all that fuck shit. And you know, that set off a really bad chain of events that ended up putting someone in prison. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's Vlad's fault. Vlad's the one that it's Vlad's fault that all that shit happened.
Right.
As opposed to...
You don't think y'all ever get to a common ground?
Well, the last interview I saw, Joe said they didn't have beef anymore. He said it was squashed. He wished him the best.
It wasn't like him and I haven't talked in probably like 10 years. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where it's like, and I heard him say some little fuck shit about me on like, you know, another interview he did. You know what I'm saying? But my whole thing is like, I remember one point I even reached out to Joe like, yo, like I could help you make money and help your business, you know, if we actually work together. Because everyone who I fuck with, like the Adam 22s, the academics, the Charlemagnes, the Sean Cottons, like, you know what I'm saying? People like you, like, I share my knowledge with everyone. Like, you know what I mean?
It's Hoffa. Trapper turn smack rapper. Only smack rapper that you know is smack rappers. Got bars I can hang with the backpackers. Trap star, I don't hang with the backpackers. I'm in the hood with the work you heard. Making fiends leave earth you heard. Got your baby mama thirst you heard. Feel the flow, nigga, throw it in reverse. This the wave you need to surf you heard.